Okay, so for English for Childcare, we're looking at Chapter 4. What's the title of Chapter 4? Reporting incidents. Reporting incidents. Reporting incidents. Reporting incidents. All right, so on this page, we see a picture, right? And in the picture, there are a lot of things happening. Some of them not so good. Some of them look like they could cause an accident. So we need to discuss what to do. Last chapter, in chapter 3, we talked about preventing accidents. Because when we take care of children, we must be responsible for them. They don't know how to do things by themselves yet. So they trust us to take care of them. So we try our best to prevent accidents. But sometimes accidents happen, and we need to report them. If we are child care providers, we need to submit reports. We have to write it down. We have to say it. We also have to write down reports. This is a requirement if you are a child care provider. So you need to learn how to make reports of what happened. And reports about incidents usually use the past tense. We use the past tense because the incident already occurred. The incident already happened. So that's why it's important to use the grammar of past tense. All right, so we're going to study how to form the past tense, how to pronounce past tense verbs, and how to put them all together in sentences so when we speak them, people will understand them. When we write them, people will understand them. Now, in this picture, we see a few people, right? How many people do you see in the picture? 6. You see 6 people? Really? 5 children? And 1 adult. Okay. Where is the adult? She's by the house, right. Is she coming out of the house or is she going into the house? She's going into the house. Yes. Do we see the front of this woman or the back of this woman? We see the back of her. So we think she's going away into the house. And where are the children? Where are the children? They're in the yard. 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 Okay, not yet, not yet. Yard. Yard. Good. Yard. In the backyard. They're in the backyard. How old do you think the children look? Maybe 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so do you think these are school-age children? Preschoolers. They look like preschoolers. Are there any toddlers? Yes. So it looks like there's some toddlers and preschoolers in the backyard. Right. So one day, 18-month-old Jessica McClure was playing in the backyard at her aunt's home child care center. Home child care center. So we can call family child care center, or we could call it home child care center. So not like our college. At Mission College, we have a child care center that's very big and has many, many rooms, many, many children and many teachers. But a child care center at home, maybe you have only 6 children. Or if you have 2 adults, you can have 12 children. All right, so it's a smaller home daycare or family child care. All right, so she was at her aunt's home because her aunt had a home child care center. So 4 other boys and girls. So one child is Jessica, and then 4 more. 4 more. So altogether, how many? 5. You have Jessica and 4 other boys and girls were also playing in the yard. In the yard. Jessica's mother was watching the children. She was watching the children. One curious toddler rolled a rock away from an opening, an 8-inch opening, to a well. Which child is that? Which child is that sentence talking about? Can you point to it? Which one is pointing? This one. Okay, so this one who is wearing looks like a little cap. You see the rock, and down here there's a well. This child was curious. What does that mean? Curious. Curious. What does curious mean? They want to know something. They want to look at something. They want to find out what's down there. What's under the rock? I'm curious. I want to know. So one curious toddler rolled a rock away. So what happens when you roll? You can roll something that is round, right? So for example, let's say that I have my bottle of water. Can I roll it like this? Or can I roll it like this? Yeah, so this way is rolling. Okay. And a rock is not exactly like a ball, but at least it's a shape that can roll. So the toddler can push the rock, and then the rock rolls away from the hole. Now, how big is an 8-inch hole? How big is 8 inches? 8 inches. Okay, let's look at this book. Let's look at this book for an example. Do you know the size of this book? What's the size of the book? Okay, so you know the size of this paper. This is usually 8.5 inches by 11 inches. So this book is maybe about 8 inches, 8.5 inches, 9 inches. Maybe the book is about 9 inches, okay, and 12 inches. So maybe 9 by 12. So 8 inches is not as wide as this book. It's maybe up to about here. But that hole about this big, that's pretty big if you are a small child. Now, I'm a big woman. I cannot fall down a hole that's 8 inches. But who can fall down a hole that's 8 inches? Who can fall down that hole? A toddler. A toddler can fall down that hole, and an infant can fall down that hole. Maybe even some preschoolers who are very thin. You know thin? What does thin mean? Thin, small, right, not fat, right? So some preschoolers, even though their age is older, their bodies are thin, they could also fall down into that hole. All right, you want to practice pronouncing the sentences with me? Okay, let's try. One day, 18-month-old Jessica McClure was playing in the backyard at her aunt's home child care center. 4 other girls and boys were also playing in the yard. Yard. Jessica's mother was watching the children. Children. One curious toddler. One curious toddler rolled a rock. Rolled a rock away from an 8-inch opening to a well. One day, 18-month-old Jessica McClure was playing in the backyard at her aunt's home child care center. 4 other girls and boys were also playing in the yard. Jessica's mother was watching the children. One curious toddler rolled a rock away from an 8-inch opening to a well. Okay, now let's talk about the picture we have some questions and we have some vocabulary. So let's go over the vocabulary first. Repeat after me. Backyard. Backyard. Home child care. Home child care. Toddler. Toddler. Curious. Curious. Well. Whole. Whole. All right. You're going to ask your partner and answer these questions. But first, why don't you listen to me pronounce the questions? Then when you get your partner, you can say them very clearly. The first question, where are the children? Number 2, where is the adult? What is she doing? Number 3, what is the toddler pushing with his hands? Number 4, can you see anything dangerous in this picture? What? Okay, now find a partner and ask and answer the questions.